Queen Zalara of the Zareth Dominion stood at the highest balcony of her palace on the capital world, Zareth Prime. The sky above her glowed with soft purple clouds and golden rings that circled the planet. Her people loved this view, calling it the crown of the heavens. But today, the queen's heart felt strange. Something different was coming into her life, something that even a ruler of many star systems could not fully understand yet. Her thoughts went again to the human man she met months ago during a peace conference near the Orion Expanse, Commander Ethan Hale. A human soldier known for courage, logic, and a calm nature that many found unusual for his species. Humans were young compared to the Zareth people. They had only started exploring the stars in the last few centuries, while the Zareth Dominion had existed for thousands of years. Still, Ethan impressed her more than any decorated general or advisor she had met before. Zalara remembered clearly the moment she first saw him. The hall was filled with noise, as different alien leaders argued about borders and trade. Some demanded more territory. Some spoke harshly about past conflicts. But Ethan stood quiet, listening carefully, observing everyone with steady blue eyes. He did not raise his voice. He did not try to show power. Yet he carried a strength that did not need to be spoken. The queen watched him take notes with a simple pen and paper, an old human habit. Others used holographic devices or floating screens, but Ethan preferred something simple. When the arguments became heated, he remained calm and offered solutions that were fair to everyone. His words were gentle but confident. Even enemies listened. By the end of the conference, Zalara knew she wanted to speak to him privately. Ethan surprised her again with his humility. He bowed respectfully and answered her questions honestly. He did not try to flatter her. He did not fear her rank. He treated her as a person, not a ruler. That day, a connection began, quiet but deep. Months later, to the shock of both civilizations, the queen and the human commander agreed to marry. It was not a political plan. It was not forced. It simply felt right to both of them. Ethan moved to Zareth Prime, leaving behind his old life on Earth. Many Zareth citizens questioned this choice. Some whispered that a human husband would weaken the queen's image. Others worried he might influence her decisions. But Zalara did not listen to such fears. She trusted her heart and her judgment. Ethan adapted quickly to life in the royal palace. It was huge, filled with floating gardens, crystal halls, and silver towers that touched the clouds. Yet he preferred quiet places, the library, training yard, and the small garden near Zalara's private chambers, where soft blue flowers bloomed under artificial starlight. He learned the language of the Zareth people, studied their customs, and treated every guard and servant with respect. Slowly, many who doubted him changed their minds. They saw he was disciplined, polite, and loyal to the queen. Still, some thought he was too normal, too quiet, too harmless. A human, after all, did not have the strength or special abilities that many alien species possessed. But Ethan did have something hidden inside him, something he never told anyone, not even the queen. A power deep in his body that he never wanted to use again. A power that scared him sometimes. Earth's officials had warned him when he was young. This ability must stay hidden at all costs. Only he and a few scientists from Earth knew what he truly was. And he hoped that secret would remain buried forever. One evening, Zalara walked into the palace garden where Ethan sat reading an old Earth book. She took a seat beside him, the golden light reflecting off her silver markings. Her people had natural glowing patterns along their skin that shimmered gently with their emotions. Tonight, hers glowed softly with peace. "You look lost in thought," she said. Ethan smiled. "Just thinking about how strange life is. I never imagined living in a palace on another world, and I never imagined marrying someone from a young species." Zalara replied with a light laugh. But life surprises even a queen. Their bond was strong and calm, something pure in the middle of political storms. Ethan loved the way she understood him without needing many words. Zalara loved the way he stayed grounded, even when surrounded by power and responsibility. But not everyone was happy with this peace. In the deep corners of the Dominion, old factions whispered. Some believed the queen had made a dangerous choice. Others simply hated humans and thought them unworthy. And in the far regions of space, something else stirred, something neither human nor Zareth, something watching. Ethan felt it before anyone else did. A faint pull in his mind. A strange taste in the air. He tried to ignore it, hoping it was nothing, but the sensation grew with each passing day. It was the same feeling he experienced as a child, moments before a dangerous event that changed his life forever. He could never forget that day, though he wished he could. One morning, the palace council gathered in the main chamber. Holographic maps floated in the air, showing several outposts along the outer borders of the Dominion. Red marks flashed beside them. 3 patrol ships disappeared this week, General Terran announced. No distress call, no wreckage, nothing. The room fell silent. Ethan stepped closer, studying the map. Were there energy signatures? None, the general replied. It is as if the crews simply vanished. Zalara narrowed her eyes. This is not natural. More reports came in over the next few days. Communication towers shut down. A mining colony went silent. A cargo ship arrived at a port empty, without its crew. Fear spread through the ranks. Ethan felt the pressure growing inside his chest. He wanted to speak about his suspicions, but he feared the reaction. He did not want to reveal the truth yet. Not until he had no choice. The queen noticed his unease. One night, as they sat together in their chamber, she placed her hand on his. "You are worried," she said softly. "Tell me what troubles you." Ethan looked at her gentle silver eyes. He wanted to tell her everything, but the words would not come. "I just hope the situation is not something worse than we think," he said quietly. She sensed he was hiding something, but she did not press him. She trusted him deeply. Days passed. The palace prepared stronger defenses. Extra patrols were sent, but nothing could stop what was coming. It happened suddenly. A deep rumble shook the entire capital. The sky turned dark as a massive object appeared above the clouds. It was not like any ship the Dominion had seen before. It looked ancient, covered in strange patterns and pulsing with dark blue energy. Alarms echoed through the palace halls. Guards scrambled to their positions. The queen was rushed toward the safe room, but Ethan stayed by her side. "What is that?" Zalara demanded. Ethan stared at the ship with fear and recognition. He whispered, "I thought they were gone." Before she could question him, the sky exploded with bursts of light. Strange soldiers made of shifting dark particles descended from the ship. Their shapes changed like smoke and shadow. Their weapons sliced through shields easily. The invaders moved with a single goal: reach the queen. Ethan grabbed Xalara's arm and guided her behind him as the palace shook from energy blasts. The guards fought bravely, but the enemy pushed forward without slowing. Ethan watched them advance, and something inside him broke loose. He knew the time had come. He had kept his secret for years. But if he did nothing, he would lose the person he loved most. Ethan took a slow breath and felt the familiar burning sensation rise in his chest. His vision blurred. His heartbeat changed rhythm. His hands began to tingle with light. Queen Zalara saw his eyes shift from calm blue to glowing silver. "Ethan, what are you?" she whispered. He did not answer, because at that moment, his true power began to awaken. The palace shook again. As another blast hit the outer walls, Queen Zalara stood close to Ethan, her heart beating fast, her glowing markings trembling with fear and confusion. She had never seen him like this. His calm blue eyes were gone, replaced by a bright silver glow that seemed to carry a power she could barely understand. Ethan did not move for a moment. He stood still, breathing slowly, as if he was preparing himself for something painful, but necessary. He had hoped never to use this power again. He had hoped he could live a normal life with the queen he loved. But fate had other plans, and the danger surrounding them left him no choice. The dark matter soldiers moved through the palace halls like shadows given life. Their shapes twisted and shifted with every step. They carried strange weapons that hummed with cold blue energy, and every guard who stood in their way fell within seconds. The palace's advanced defenses flickered and collapsed as if the enemy had studied them for years. Ethan heard the screams of guards, the sound of walls breaking, and the strange whispering voices that echoed from the invaders. Those voices were the same he remembered from his childhood, a memory that chilled him even now. That day long ago, he had faced something similar, and his hidden power had awakened for the first time. Earth's leaders had covered up the incident, explaining it away as a natural disaster. But Ethan had never forgotten, and now the same enemy had returned, targeting not Earth, but the Queen. Queen Zalara stared at Ethan with wide eyes. "Ethan, what is happening to you? What are you doing?" she asked, her voice trembling. He turned toward her, his silver eyes softer for a moment. "I am sorry," he said quietly. "I never wanted you to see this. But I can't let them take you." Before she could question him further, the nearest wall exploded inward. 3 dark matter soldiers entered, their shapes shifting like storm clouds. They raised their weapons toward the Queen. Ethan stepped in front of her. The air around him suddenly changed. It felt heavier, thicker, charged with invisible force. Tiny sparks floated from his skin like stars breaking free from the night sky. When the soldiers fired their weapons, beams of cold blue energy shot toward Ethan, but the beams slowed, then stopped in midair, held by something they could not see. Queen Zalara gasped. No Zareth shield technology worked like this. Nothing they had invented could simply freeze an enemy attack in the air. Ethan raised his hand slowly, and the frozen beams dissolved into harmless dust. The soldiers reacted instantly, charging forward. But Ethan released a wave of silver energy that surged from his palm like a powerful shockwave. The impact threw the dark beings back, pushing them into the walls, where their forms crumbled into particles and vanished. For a long moment, the room was quiet except for distant explosions and alarms. The Queen stared at her husband in disbelief. You have abilities? Humans do not have abilities like this." Ethan took a deep breath. "Most don't. But some of us are different." But this was not the time to explain everything. More invaders were approaching. He could feel dozens, maybe hundreds, moving through the palace like a spreading storm. He grabbed the Queen's hand. "We need to move. Now." They ran through the halls, guided by Ethan's instincts and Zalara's knowledge of secret passageways. The palace was massive, with many hidden rooms and tunnels that most never used. The Queen ordered her guards to fall back and regroup, but many of them insisted on staying behind to slow the enemy. The pair reached a sealed chamber deep beneath the palace, a room only the Queen and a few trusted advisors knew about. It was made of reinforced crystal alloy, capable of holding against most attacks. But Ethan knew the dark matter soldiers were not like normal threats. They would find a way in eventually. Zalara placed her hand on the wall panel, activating the inner lights and security systems. She turned to Ethan, her eyes filled with questions. "Please tell me the truth. Who are these creatures? Why are they attacking my world? And what are you?" Ethan finally stopped moving, though he kept listening for sounds from above. He owed her an explanation, even if it hurt to speak about it. "When I was a child," Ethan began, "something happened on Earth. A strange rift opened in the sky. A dark force came through. Similar to these invaders, my town was destroyed. My family barely survived." Queen Zalara listened closely, her face softening. "I was only 12, he continued. "But when those creatures attacked, something inside me woke up. I felt energy building in my body, energy I couldn't control. And when I released it, everything changed. The creatures disappeared, the rift closed, and the entire area was left in ruins. Earth's leaders found me afterward and realized I had an ability they had never seen before." He paused, remembering the fear, the confusion, the isolation. "They called me a conduit," he said. "A human who can connect with the energy fields that exist everywhere in the universe. Most people can't sense or use them, but conduits can. There are only a few of us, and Earth hides our existence to keep us safe." Zalara stepped closer. "And the invaders, are they the same as the ones from your childhood?" Ethan nodded. "Yes. They come from a place outside normal space. They are old, older than any known civilization. They feed on energy, life, and matter, and they always search for beings who can resist them. When I revealed my power as a child, they marked me. The queen felt her heart tighten. So now they have come for you? No, he said quietly. They have come for you. You are a powerful leader. You unify worlds. They see you as a threat, and they see me as a tool they can exploit. Zalara took his hand gently. You should have told me. Ethan looked down. I wanted to live a peaceful life. With you. I didn't want my past to bring danger to your world. But danger had come anyway. Above them, the palace trembled again. The walls shook with the force of another explosion. Dust fell from the ceiling. The dark matter soldiers were moving closer. Zalara looked at Ethan with new understanding. Then we face this together. He shook his head. No. I need to draw their attention away from you. They want your power, your influence, your position. If they capture you, they will control the Dominion. I can't allow that. I will not leave you to fight alone, she said firmly. Ethan's silver eyes softened. He admired her strength, but he knew the cost of this battle. Your people need their queen. You must survive, whatever happens. A deep humming sound came from the hallway outside. The enemy had found the chamber. Zalara stepped back as the door began to glow with strange blue light. The dark matter soldiers were trying to break through the reinforced alloy. Ethan placed his hand on the queen's shoulder. Listen to me. No matter what happens, believe in yourself. Believe in your people. And believe that I will protect you. Her markings glowed brightly as she nodded. I trust you, Ethan. The chamber door cracked slightly. A thin stream of dark energy seeped through. Ethan stepped forward. The silver glow around him brightened, spreading across his arms and chest. He felt the familiar burning sensation build inside his core, the same overwhelming power he had tried to hide for years. He took one last look at the queen. Stay behind me. The door exploded inward, and dozens of dark matter soldiers poured in. Their weapons lit the room with eerie blue light. Ethan's silver energy burst outward like a rising star, filling the chamber with blinding brilliance. The battle for the queen's life had begun. The chamber filled with a bright silver light as Ethan released the energy locked inside him for so many years. The glow spread across the walls, reflecting in the queen's startled eyes. Queen Zalara shielded her face for a moment. But she did not step back. She watched as her human husband, usually quiet, calm, and gentle, now stood like a figure made of living light. The dark matter soldiers rushed inside, their shifting bodies twisting like smoke caught in a storm. They moved fast, almost floating across the floor. Their weapons humming with deadly energy. Their single goal was clear: capture the queen at all costs. Ethan stood between them and Zalara, his silver eyes locked on the enemy. His breathing changed again, deeper and more focused. The air around him vibrated with invisible waves, as if reality itself was reacting to his presence. The first soldier swung its weapon toward him. The blade-like energy passed through the air with a sharp sound, but before it reached Ethan, a silent barrier of silver light appeared. The weapon struck the barrier and shattered into specks of dust. Without waiting, Ethan stepped forward and pushed his hand outward. A burst of energy shot from his palm, hitting the soldier directly. The creature's body rippled violently, then shattered into particles that dissolved into thin air. The other soldiers hissed with strange, echoing voices. They attacked together, surrounding him from all sides. Their weapons slashed at him from every angle, their dark bodies twisting to avoid his attacks. But Ethan moved faster than he ever had before. His body seemed lighter, as if gravity no longer held power over him. He stepped to the side, dodging a strike, then spun around, releasing a wave of silver energy that swept through half the room. Several soldiers collapsed instantly, their forms breaking apart like glass hit by a hammer. Queen Zalara watched with shock. She had always believed humans were simple beings, creative, emotional, determined, yes, but not powerful in this extraordinary way. Yet Ethan stood stronger than any warrior she had ever seen. He fought with a strange mix of control and intensity, as if the energy inside him was both his greatest strength and greatest burden. But the invaders did not stop. More poured through the broken doorway, filling the chamber with shadows. Ethan's glow flickered for a moment. He had the power, but even conduits had limits. The energy burning through him took a heavy toll on his body. He gritted his teeth and forced himself forward again. A soldier tried to lunge past him toward the queen. Ethan reacted instantly. He raised both hands and slammed them together. A blast wave exploded outward, shaking the entire chamber. Dust filled the air as soldiers were thrown backward, crashing into the walls. The queen felt the vibration through the floor. Ethan staggered slightly. His power surge was strong, but it drained him. Zalara took a step forward, worry rising in her chest. "Ethan, stop! You cannot fight all of them alone." He shook his head. "I will not let you face this alone," she insisted, taking another step. He turned toward her, his silver eyes softening. "If they take you, everything falls. You are the leader they fear. You are the one they came for." Before she could respond, a new sound echoed through the hallway. A deep, vibrating hum that made the air feel heavy. The remaining soldiers stepped back, as if making way for something greater. The queen's heart tightened in fear. A tall figure entered the chamber, taller than any Zareth warrior. Its body was made of denser dark matter, forming clearer shapes, long limbs, sharp edges, and a head shaped like a helmet with glowing blue cracks. This one was a commander. The creature stepped forward, and its voice echoed through the room like distant thunder. "Conduit," it said, speaking directly to Ethan. "You interfere again." Ethan's jaw tightened. "You shouldn't have come here." The commander raised its hand, and the room darkened. Energy gathered around its palm, forming a swirling sphere of dark blue power. The space around it twisted unnaturally, making even Zalara feel dizzy for a moment. It launched the attack. Ethan reacted instantly, raising his hands. His silver glow flared again, forming a shield. The dark energy struck the shield with a loud crack, sending vibrations through the entire chamber. The queen held onto a support beam to keep herself steady. The energies clashed for several seconds, pushing against each other. Ethan grunted in pain as the force pushed him back a few steps. His boots scraped against the floor. The commander pressed harder. Zalara wanted to rush to him, but the heat from the energy wave forced her to stay back. With a loud cry, Ethan pushed his hands forward. His silver shield expanded suddenly, breaking through the dark attack and exploding outward in a ripple of light. The commander's attack shattered, and the creature staggered back, its body flickering. But Ethan fell to one knee, breathing heavily. Zalara ran to him, kneeling beside him. "Ethan, you cannot continue like this." He looked up at her, his face strained but determined. "I can't stop. If I fall, they take you." The commander rose again, anger visible in the flickering light of its body. It pointed at Ethan. "Your energy is familiar. You cannot defeat us forever." Ethan stood slowly, ignoring the pain. Maybe not forever, but long enough. He stepped forward, silver light growing brighter around him. The commander charged. Their energies collided again, filling the chamber with blinding flashes. Zalara covered her eyes, but she refused to look away completely. She needed to see how her husband fought. Ethan pushed every ounce of strength he had into the battle. His silver energy clashed with the commander's dark force, creating sparks that flew across the room. The air grew hotter, the ground cracked, and the walls trembled. Finally, with a desperate shout, Ethan unleashed a final burst of power. The silver light exploded outward, swallowing the commander in a wave that filled the entire chamber. The creature let out a deep, echoing scream before its body broke apart and dissolved completely. Silence fell. The dark matter soldiers who remained collapsed instantly, their forms fading without their leader's support. The chamber grew quiet except for the sound of Ethan's harsh breathing. His glow faded slowly, shrinking back into his body until his eyes returned to their usual blue. The room felt empty without the silver light. Ethan sank to the ground, exhausted. Every muscle in his body trembled. Queen Zalara rushed to him, holding his shoulders gently. "Ethan! Look at me. Are you all right?" He managed a weak smile. "I'll live. I just pushed too hard." She touched his cheek softly. Her glowing markings shifted to a warm, worried color. "You saved my life. You saved all of us." He leaned lightly against her, feeling his strength slowly returning. "This is not over. Their commander was only one part of their force. More will come." Zalara closed her eyes for a moment, absorbing the truth in his words. "Then we must prepare. The Dominion must know the truth about these creatures. And your people, humans, must be warned too." Ethan nodded. "Yes. Earth knows some things, but not everything. They never believed these creatures would return." The Queen helped him stand. "We will warn them together." As they moved toward the exit of the ruined chamber, Ethan glanced back at the fallen soldiers. A cold feeling settled in his heart. His secret was no longer hidden. The Queen had seen his true power. The Dominion had seen flashes of it. And the enemy now knew exactly where he was. Zalara noticed his silence and touched his hand gently. "I am not afraid of your power, Ethan. I am only afraid of losing you." He looked at her and felt the weight in his chest lift slightly. "I won't let that happen." Together, they walked through the damaged palace halls. Guards rushed to them, shocked to see both alive. News spread quickly across the capital. Queen Zalara and her human husband had survived an attack by unknown invaders. Rumors of Ethan's silver light ran through the whispers of soldiers and citizens alike, but Ethan did not care about stories or fear. He cared only about protecting the Queen and preparing for the next battle. The Voidborn were coming again, and next time, they would be stronger. The next day arrived with a strange calm across the palace. It was the kind of quiet that came only before great change, and both humans and Xerthians could feel it in the air. The world was different now. The sky itself seemed brighter, as if it, too, understood that something important had happened. Liara, the alien queen, walked through the wide palace halls with soft steps, her long cloak flowing behind her like a river of silver. She looked peaceful on the outside, but inside her mind she carried a storm of thoughts. She kept thinking about Elias, her human husband, and the unbelievable moment when he had revealed his true power. Elias had not slept the whole night. After the council meeting, after saving the empire, after standing up against the nobles who wanted to remove him, his mind was still full. The strange human energy inside him still hummed, almost like a quiet engine. He was walking through the training grounds now, looking at the sunrise. He felt calm, but also changed. Something inside him had awakened. Something he never expected. He still did not fully understand it, but he knew one thing. He would use it only to protect the people he cared about. Liara finally found him in the open field. She walked toward him slowly, as if approaching something fragile but powerful at the same time. Elias turned when he heard her steps. His smile was tired, but warm. She came close and stayed beside him without speaking at first. She liked the peace they shared. For many years she had lived with pressure, with leadership, with duty. But with Elias, she felt like she could breathe. She finally asked him the question that kept her awake all night. She wanted to know how he had such power. Elias shook his head with honesty. He explained that he did not know. He said humans on Earth did not have powers like this. There were no legends of people like him. He had been ordinary his whole life. Liara listened carefully. She was a queen, but she was also a scientist. Her mind began studying the puzzle, piece by piece. She wondered if something on her planet had awakened something inside him, or if humans had some hidden potential that even they did not know. Before they could talk more, a messenger suddenly arrived, out of breath. He bowed quickly and explained that a ship had appeared near the capital. Not an enemy ship, not a Xerthian ship, but something completely unknown. Elias and Liara exchanged a look. Danger or opportunity, neither of them knew. but they went to the observation tower immediately. When they arrived, the sky above the city was filled with a strange glow. A huge ship hovered in the distance. Its design was unlike anything they had seen. Smooth, dark, and shaped like a long crescent. The air around it shimmered. The ship slowly opened a channel. Across every screen in the tower, a soft voice echoed. It was calm, almost emotionless, yet it had a presence that demanded attention. The voice said it had come to observe the power that awakened yesterday. It announced that Elias had disturbed an energy field that had been dormant for thousands of years. Liara felt a chill run across her skin. Elias stepped closer to the screen. He asked what the ship wanted. The voice replied that it wanted to test him. Not in violence, not in battle, but in control. It said power without control destroyed civilizations. Power with control saved them. The ship sent down a beam of light. The light formed a path leading away from the palace grounds. Liara reached out and took Elias's hand tightly. She told him he did not need to go. She said she would not allow anyone to test him. Elias smiled and said he would be fine. He understood that the ship did not want war. It wanted truth. So he walked into the beam. The world changed around him instantly. One moment he was standing on Zirthia, the next he was in a strange, empty space with no walls, no sky, only an endless white field. The voice echoed inside the space. It asked him to focus. It told him to bring out his power without fear or anger. Elias took a deep breath. He remembered Liara's face, her trust, her calm strength. He remembered why he wanted to protect this world. Slowly, carefully, he reached inward toward the energy inside him. The ground trembled slightly. A soft blue light surrounded him. His heart beat calmly. The voice told him to shape the energy, not release it wildly. He imagined a sphere, small and controlled. The light obeyed. It formed a soft orb in front of him. The voice sounded satisfied. It said he had the qualities necessary to hold power without destruction: compassion, discipline, and purpose. It told him he was not dangerous. He was balanced. In the palace, Liara waited anxiously. Minutes felt like hours. She knew Elias was strong, but she also feared the unknown. Finally, the white beam returned. Elias stepped out of it, alive, calm, and glowing with a soft blue light. Liara rushed toward him and held him tightly. He wrapped his arms around her and assured her he was fine. The skyship spoke one last time. It said Elias was now recognized as a guardian, a rare kind of individual who appeared once in many ages. It said he belonged not to one world, but could protect many. Then the ship rose higher, shimmering as it left the planet's atmosphere. When it disappeared, a long silence settled over the city. Later that evening, Liara held a ceremony in the palace courtyard. Humans, Zirthians, and military members gathered. The queen spoke proudly of Elias, calling him a symbol of unity. She explained that power did not make someone great, choices did. Elias stood beside her quietly, overwhelmed but grateful. When the ceremony ended, Elias and Liara went to the balcony overlooking the city. Lights sparkled everywhere. The wind felt cool and peaceful. Liara rested her head gently against his shoulder. Elias smiled at her and whispered that she was his strength. She smiled back and told him he was her miracle. They talked about the future. Liara said she wanted to build a world where humans and Zirthians could live together without fear or suspicion. Elias said he wanted to help her build it. He did not want to be seen as a legend or a weapon. He only wanted to be her partner, her husband, and someone who protected the people who trusted him. Their quiet moment was interrupted when Tariq, Liara's trusted commander, arrived with news. He explained that across the empire, people were already celebrating Elias as a hero. Some wanted to recruit him into the highest ranks of defense. Others wanted to study the energy inside him. Liara sighed gently. She knew this would happen. She looked at Elias to see if he was overwhelmed, but he only smiled and said he would handle it with patience. The night continued with peaceful silence. Elias looked at the stars. wondering if the strange ship would return one day. Liara watched him carefully. She realized something important. She had once believed humans were fragile creatures, weak in body and short-lived. But now she understood something far deeper. Humans had courage that burned like a bright sun. When pushed into impossible situations, they rose higher than anyone expected. Elias had proven that. Not with violence, but with heart and choice. She felt proud, not only as a queen but as a wife. She reached out and held his hand. He squeezed it softly. They stood together, watching a future that felt full of new paths. No matter what challenges came, they would face them together. The palace lights dimmed slowly. The wind whispered around them. And far across the universe, in distant silent space, something ancient watched over them with quiet respect. Elias had changed his world, but his journey was only beginning. Yet whatever came next, he would face it not alone, but beside the queen, who believed in him even before he believed in himself. And so began a new era, where a human man and an alien queen shaped a destiny no one had imagined.